Fall is in the air. You can literally smell fall in the air. Am I the only one who can smell fall in the air? I doubt it. Yeah, can you believe it? The season is already changing to fall. I have some amazing perfumes that will take you from warm weather to cold weather seamlessly. Those transitional fragrances that don't quite belong in one particular season. You know what I mean? And I will give you some tips as to how you can distinguish these perfect in-between season fragrances. I have a few shortcuts for you, some tips for you, so stay tuned. Hi my lovely people, welcome to today's video. I've got some transitional fragrances for you. They will take you from hot summer weather, warm summer weather to cooler fall like weather we're having right now. At least where I live. I know some of you all don't live in climates that really have clear seasonal changes, but I got you. I will address that topic as well, okay? So mainly I'm going to talk about fragrances that really work really well with warm weather and cold weather, sort of. You get what I mean? So that's your clue number one. How do you pick out fragrances that are perfect transitional fragrances? Tip number one. They're usually those fragrances that don't necessarily belong in one season. They're not necessarily warm weather perfumes clearly, or clearly cold weather perfumes. I'll give you some examples. These are perfumes that you feel like don't really fit in any box, right? They don't fit in any kind of climate. They kind of work in all kinds of climates and seasons. So that's clue number one, but there's more. I'm gonna peel this onion. There are more layers to this. Be patient with me. So that's clue number one, which is more of a general clue. So I will start talking about these fragrances, and as I talk about them, I will tell you the other clues, okay? So another clue I can give you when picking transitional fragrances is that generally, as a general rule of thumb, soft gourmand fragrances really work well in between seasons. Now, strong gourmand fragrances with really dominant, strong, like very thick, almost you can cut it with a knife, gourmand notes, heavy gourmand notes like caramel, coffee, chocolate, those type of fragrances usually belong in cold weather, right? You can only wear them in cold weather because otherwise they'll be so offensive. They'll be projecting like crazy. They'll be too strong, headache inducing, and it could offend people, right? If you wore them in warm weather. Those are clearly cold weather perfumes, the strong gourmand fragrances. But I'm talking about the soft gourmands that feel like they work in any kind of season. I have the perfect example for you in my hands right here. This is Ambery Note Vanille, and I also actually have the Note Vanille Nectar, which is a stronger, more potent version of the original. These two, you guys, this is in my opinion, a soft gourmand because it's a vanilla fragrance that has a bit of a soft gourmand vanilla dessert vibe, right? Oh, I love the smell of this fragrance, you guys. This is one of the best vanilla perfumes, period, bar none, okay? So this is a perfect example of a gourmand that you can kind of wear all year round. You know, when we're transitioning from summer to winter, or I mean summer to fall, there are days when it really feels like fall, where it's kind of cold, but then there are some days that just feel warm, right? Still almost like it's trying to go back to summer. So it teeter-totters a little bit, you know, before it settles on cold weather. So you want a fragrance that can play chameleon, right? Like this. It can adapt to any kind of temperature. So this is a perfect example for that. This is a perfume. Okay, let me describe this. This is a beautiful vanilla fragrance that's not just your simple vanilla, not like smack down or right out vanilla like Kylie Vanilla 28, which is a beautiful perfume. I mean, it's very, you know, very vanilla, but it's a very straightforward, in your face, it's vanilla, that's it kind of fragrance. Whereas this is very masterful, right? This is, yes, a vanilla, but there's so much more to it. It's not just like sweet vanilla. You know what I mean? It's sweet, but like only slightly, but it has like this sort of soft dessert vibe about it. Almost like a custard, I want to say even like a slight ice cream vibe, dare I say. Yeah, it even has that, but not entirely, not hit you in the face, right? There's something really intriguing about it. And also, of course, it has floral notes. Also, intriguingly slightly boozy. Okay, so it's got kind of like a floral, wild vanilla, soft dessert, soft light dessert vibes, and slight boozy vibes. The boozy vibes add to that dessert vibe, you know, and it's got some beautiful amber, you guys. It's that kind of fragrance, and it's the perfect go-between, like in-between fragrance going from one season to the other. And here is the nectar, which is also like delicious. And yeah, they're both great. So I actually have two more kind of vanilla perfumes that fit that bill category of soft gourmand fragrances that aren't strongly gourmand, not too strong, not too thick, not too dense, not too strongly cold weather, but it can work in any weather. So they're here. This is, I got the old packaging, they've changed the packaging now. This is by Guerlain. This is Guerlain, Spirituse, Vanille, and then this one is Angelique, Noir. These are both vanillic fragrances. Now this one, Spirituse Vanille, is more straight out like vanilla fragrance. Again, very artful, masterful, instead of just like smack you in the face vanilla. It has a sort of, again, their slight boozy dessert vibe, kind of similar to Note Vanille, but I gotta tell you, if you ask me, I like this more because it's so pretty. Anyway, yeah, so Spirituse Vanille, and a lot of the vanilla fragrances that are not too strongly, cloyingly sweet would work really well between seasons. And Angelique Noir is also kind of vanilla fragrance, but this one has even a more interesting twist. This has a slight green vibe. So it has this Angelica note in it, which is kind of like a rooty smelling, slightly green note. So it really puts this like interesting twist in it, you know. It's similar to Vanille, but only different in the sense that it has that sort of rooty greenish vibes from Angelica. Here's another slightly spicy vanilla scent that actually work really well in most seasons, even in summertime, at nighttime actually. This one is spicy, but not too overly spicy, but it's a vanilla fragrance, but there's like iris note in here too, so it's kind of like powdery as well. This is Christian Louboutin Louis Rouge, you guys. This one, like I said, it's a vanilla fragrance, but that's not too strongly take your nose out kind of strong, thick, dense kind of gourmand. It's like a slightly powdery, light vanilla with a little light spice, right? This is a very sexy perfume, by the way. My husband loves it. So yeah, that's another example for a go between season vanilla fragrances. Actually, you can wear it all year round. See, that's another tip. Sometimes like you will see several of my tips in one fragrance, and you know then it's a really good transitional fragrance. So that's one type of fragrance, and I can name quite a few vanilla fragrances that would work. Saint Barth, Vanille West Indies would be one that works just the same way. You guys, I have a lot in my collection that will qualify or make for really good transitional fragrances, but I can only talk about so many perfumes in a video, but you know, you get the idea, right? I'm just giving you the idea, and you would have to actually use the criteria I'm giving you or my tips, you know, to try and distinguish. And there's another type of fragrance, again, soft-ish gourmand fragrances that are not too strongly in your face. Caramel, dripping caramel, you know, piping coffee, like, you know, fragrances that aren't that strong in the gourmand vibes, but they're like kind of soft, beautiful, subtle gourmand, you know, has a couple of gourmand fragrance notes in it, but not too strongly like in your face. Or they also have kind of dessert-ish vibes. So I have 4 here as good examples. So right here I have the Nuit Nomade Jardin de Mesfac. You guys, this one is, again, Nuit Nomade, very niche house that makes a lot of really cool, unique niche fragrances. This is why we buy niche, right? Because we want to stand out. No one else is going to be wearing this kind of like super niche fragrances from a house like this. Nuit Nomade, tell that name to, I don't know, 10 people you see tomorrow. They're not going to know, because you know why? It's very exclusive. Very like, only a certain type of fragrance enthusiast like us knows about these fragrance houses, the really niche ones like this Nuit Nomade, the exclusive perfume club members, if you will. But anyway, this one, this perfume is a date perfume. There's vanilla and all that in here too. But the thing that makes this super interesting is the fact that this has a dates note. So it's very slightly gourmand with that sweet date in it, but at the same time it's quite intriguing and interesting, not too strongly gourmand. It's soft enough to wear in this transitional weather. It's strong enough for the slight cold days we're having right now in the transitional time, but also it is soft enough for those freak like warmer days we get still when we're in that transitional period. You get what I mean? This has slight bit of spicy notes in it, but not super spicy, because super spicy would be more like fall fragrances. Actually, I would say more like smack dab in the middle of fall kind of fragrances. I like to wear my spicy fragrances in fall weather. I don't know. I can't quite describe that one, because I think it's the difference in the ambiance more than anything else. Fall is a little bit more dark and deep. You know, now in winter, if you get snow, it's a little brighter, more crisp. So it still takes a strong, very strong fragrance, but a different kind of strong. I'll get to that when I do my winter fragrances, when I do my fall fragrances. But anyway, great one. I have a discount code for you for that one. If you want some money off, you can get it right from the Nuit Nomade website. I will give the discount code down in the description box. Here's another one from the same fragrance house, from UNN. This is Sugar Leather, you guys. This is my current most favorite perfume from the house. This one is quite lovely. My husband loves this on me. He loves it. This is a gorgeous, sweet leather perfume, just like what it says, sugar leather. It smells sweet, and you can smell that luxurious leather note in it, and it has a caramel note that adds that sweetness, but it's not punch you in the face kind of a caramel note. It's actually very smooth and subtle, and that leather kind of elevated to a sophisticated place, not to like this dense, thick, cut with a knife kind of place. This is very soft. It smells soft, almost kind of powdery perfume, that in a very good way. Absolutely beautiful. My husband loves this one. He doesn't like just any fragrance, just so you know. Again, have a discount code for you if you want. I have more of this type of soft gourmand fragrances. Here's another great example. This is Palais Monarchie by Krigler, and the number is 218. This one, you guys, is a beautiful, perfect in-between fragrance. This is a very, very, very demure, soft gourmand. This has gourmand notes, but not strong gourmand notes. There's something about this fragrance works in slightly cool weather, and it also works in warm weather. It's actually a fragrance you can wear all year round. Remember my tip number 1? So yeah, this has ambers. Like amber can be like a soft gourmand note because it's like a mixture of vanilla and other like resinous type of ingredients. This has a little bit of soft spices and some warm like cinnamon, I think maybe nutmeg too, I'm not sure. It has orange blossom, which kind of lends itself to kind of those brighter, more warmer days in the transitional period. And then sandalwood, which is a cozy one. This has almond and tonka, which add to that soft gourmand vibes, if you know what I mean. So this really is a great transitional fragrance. And another soft gourmand one right here is perfect for this type of transitional time. This is by Xerjoff. It's Lyra. You guys know this is a lemon custard dessert kind of smelling fragrance. Here's tip number, is it 3 now? Yes. So another tip is for you to determine your in-between fragrances or transitional fragrances by thinking, would I have worn this during summer at nighttime? So those summer nighttime fragrances that you wore in the summertime make for perfect transitional fragrances because they work in kind of warm weather but still with cooler air at nighttime in the season of summer. There's not exactly like blazing hot day perfumes either, because they're a little, maybe because they're a little bit more gourmand with a couple of those notes that work better in cooler air. You know, summer night fragrances would make for good transitional fragrances, and this is one of those. I wear this in the summertime at nighttime, like to dinner and stuff. So this is that lemon custard dessert kind of smelling fragrance. You guys know what kind of notes that go into, like obviously lemon, and there's beautiful blood orange note in here. Oh, juicy. I love whenever there's blood orange in perfumes, you guys. Then this has a slight bit of caramel and vanilla. Again, not punch you in the face kind of strongly, but very lightly, okay? It makes for a very soft dessert vibe. Has a bunch of other notes, but you know, those are what stands out. You get the idea, right? So I've given you 3 tips now. Those are really perfect in terms of determining what works in between seasons, especially going from summer to fall. I have another tip. It's coming. It's on the way. Just hang on tight. Here I have another category of perfumes that actually work really well in this type of transitional weather. They are the perfumes that smell slightly earthy but beautiful and has a refreshing element to it, but has patchouli a little bit more. They're kind of cozy, but also they work in warm weather too. But they tend to usually have patchouli, if you know what I mean, with that sort of earthy scent to it. You know, this is the kind of perfume I'm talking about. This is Gris Dior by Christian Dior. Obviously, this one, you guys, I just wore this the other day when we started getting this fall in the air vibes, and it worked perfect. It projects the right amount in this kind of slightly cool weather. You can actually wear this all year round. This is, again, hint hint, another type of perfume that you can wear all year round, but this has a bit of a cozy vibe that works really well in slightly cooler weather, you know, in even cold weather, but it still doesn't offend if you wore it in kind of warm weather, you know, not maybe hot weather, but slightly warmer days in this type of transitional time. This is a beautiful rose fragrance, but this has like a little bit of patchouli and moss, like those type of slightly almost herbally but earthy notes that ground that rose, and it makes it almost smell like a beautiful feminine rose perfume, a rose that's in like the garden, you know, like in fresh dirt, you know, you get what I mean, like getting a whiff of that fragrance. But there's a mossy vibe to it too, because it makes it very cozy. You get what I'm saying, right? But if you are not a patchouli fan, you will not like the beautiful earthy scent in here. I for one love it, but I know some of you guys aren't fans of this type of patchouli fragrances, but it's not strong patchouli, very light, very it just complements the other notes. And here's another one like that. This is Paris by Chanel. This is another one that's kind of a mixture of like rose and other notes, but it has some patchouli, which gives it that sort of slightly earthy vibes. This projects perfectly well. There's something fresh about it too. You get what I mean? Just like Gris Dior, but it works perfectly in this transitional type of time. So that's number 4, tip number 4, the slightly earthy, kind of still fresh, but slightly earthy, slightly patchouli type fragrances work really well in this in between time. And here's another one that fall in that category. This one is a little fruity too, but it does also have like those, I think there's rose in this too, and some other like white florals, but this has that slight bit of patchouli. This is not necessarily like a cold weather perfume at all. It's also not like a warm weather perfume because there's patchouli in here. You can smell the earthiness. The earthiness, the earthy accord doesn't quite work very well in really hot weather, like super hot weather, right? This is like something you can almost wear all year round except for super hot summertime, but you can wear it in transitional time and in kind of cold weather, maybe not super cold weather, but yeah. You get the idea. I think this has like raspberry or something too. There's something fruity about this perfume too, but it's mainly like floral and earthy. Oh, I think it has like a berry note too, like blackberry or something. You get the idea. So did I tell you what this is, by the way? Ugh, totally forgot. This is Gucci Guilty Absolute. And in the same kind of token, in that sort of same patchouli vibes, here's another one. This is like slightly herbally. So this is kind of like a sexy herbally almost kind of scent. This is Chloe Nomad Absolute, by the way. So this one has herbally vibes with this patchouli vibes and mossy vibes. So it gives all those things kind of just talked about with an added sultry herbally vibe. This has a beautiful Davana herbal note. Davana is the sexiest herbally note ever. It gives it this sultriness about, you know, this fragrance. I think it has like moss or something too that makes it very kind of, you know, like sexy, earthy, herbally fragrance, perfect for transitional time. You can actually carry it on to fall if you want. That's one that will work in all seasons almost except for warm, hot summer. Maybe not spring either. You know, most of the time you can wear it. And here's another vanilla dominant fragrance that makes for a really good transitional fragrance because this works in warm weather too if you want it to, and it works in, you know, slightly cold weather going into fall, which is like my favorite time to wear this fragrance. Guerlain en Tons. I actually forgot to bring the original down too. I actually mean both of them. The lavender fragrances, by the way, also really work well in this kind of transitional time. So this does have lavender, and it has loads of vanilla, like buckets of vanilla, okay, in a really good way. It's sweet. It has like 4 layers of vanilla, if I'm not mistaken. There's like tonka bean, there's vanilla, there's 2 kinds of vanilla, then there's benzoin too. Like there's like all these vanilla variations in here with that lavender. You guys, it's cozy, that cozy, cold, slightly cool air you get in like fall-esque weather really works with this. This, you know, usually I like to use this at nighttime in transitional period, but you can also wear it daytime if you want. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is another perfume my husband really loves. Guys are attracted to this fragrance, by the way, this and the original both, but my favorite is the Intense version. So assume they're both in this video, like the original. I just forgot to bring it down. You guys, there's so many perfume to bring down from upstairs to film. And then there's another category, almost another category, but very similar to what I just talked about actually. It actually kind of fall in this category, kind of not in another category too. So tip number 5, light ambery fragrances work really well in between seasons, like how vanilla fragrances, light vanilla fragrances work in between seasons. The same way amber is kind of like vanilla, only like different kind of sweetness in some ways. Amber is a little bit more sultry. So yeah, lighter ambery fragrances, which I consider this to be, are great transitional fragrances too. This is actually one of my go-to transitional fragrances. I always reach for this right between seasons when it goes from summer to fall. Why do I keep saying that? This is Si Intense 2021 version. There's a older version that's in that black bottle, which I also have. Not that one, this one right here. This is juicy, almost refreshing in a fruity way because of that opening note of blackcurrant, because it's a bursting, juicy note. You know, kind of reminding of summer, but at the same time, that beautiful sort of amberiness in here, light amberiness with the benzoin and everything. It kind of grounds it into a transitional fragrance. You know, like it takes away from the summery vibes. So that's like another category. Like I said, light amber fragrances, tip number, is it 5? But my previous tip, this also falls under, this is also slightly herbally from the Davana note, that sexy, sultry Davana note. So you know what I mean? So yeah. Then my last tip for you is another category that works really well in between seasons. These are white floral fragrances that are not your summer white florals. You know how you get summer white florals like jasmine fragrances that are very light and airy and, you know, fresh, like that's summer white florals. But then you also get white florals, fragrances that are kind of strong, not too strong, but they're strong. So they can withstand, they can stand up to cold weather. They can survive the cold weather, not super, super cold either. But some of these actually will go into winter all the way. Again, these are ones that you can almost wear all year round because you can wear these at nighttime during summer in warmer months. But they work really well in like transitional times. They even work well in cold weather. So they have that as well in common, but they are usually stronger white floral fragrances that work really well in between. But then there are super strong white florals. I'll give you an example, like Bond Number 9 Chinatown. Now that's an example of a smack you in the face, take your nose out, super strong, project to the other end of the house kind of fragrance, white floral fragrance that is a winter white floral fragrance. So now that's not what I'm talking about either. I'm also not talking about the warm, light, you know, fresh, almost kind of citrusy white florals. Those are summer warm weather white florals. I'm talking about in between ones like this. So the first one I have is the Givenchy L'Interdit Intense. You guys, this is a summer night kind of fragrance, right? And you can wear it in between seasons like right now, or you can even wear it in cold weather. This is a stronger white floral fragrance. This has several white floral notes, but this also has a little bit of depth to it with that Sesame Street. I almost said Sesame Street. I watch too much kiddie TV with my kids. But anyways, sesame seed note in here that kind of makes it almost kind of sultry in a way. It's this like third dimension to it. Anyways, yeah, you get the idea. Like slightly stronger white floral fragrances like this work really well in between. Oh, by the way, it also has, I think, coconut. So it's kind of like summer notes in it too, but kind of winter notes, like with the stronger, more sultry notes mixed with white florals. You get the idea. Am I making any sense? I hope you're getting what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's one example. Here's another one right here. This is Emicula Glamour. This is the most sexy, gorgeous, like kind of white floral fragrance, you know, with a lot of musk that work really well in between seasons and even, you know, in cold weather actually. You can wear the summer nights, like I said. So this is not strong like Chinatown, like punch you in the face. It can be offensive if you wore it in warm weather either. You can wear this summer nights. Whereas Chinatown, I don't really even recommend Chinatown for summer nights either. You know, it's a little too much. So anyway, this is kind of like that naughty jasmine fragrance, you guys. Like, you know how Alien Muggler has a kind of a dirty jasmine, naughty jasmine kind of vibe? So this also has that sort of naughty white floral vibe to it. This also has like juicy plum note and like some juicy peach and stuff, I think. You know, and loads of musk, which makes it really sexy. Work really well. Almost all seasons except really hot summer, right? So that's another clue. Slightly stronger white florals. Not too strong, not too light, you know, in the middle. Here's another one, EBK Paris, Moonstone, and Tuberose. This is another good example. This is a tuberose dominant fragrance that's has a little more teeth like to it than a summertime white floral. Also, it's not like super like crazy, you know, cold weather either. Although you could wear it in cold weather, it will withstand and project well in cold weather too. But in my opinion, it's in between, right? This is such a beautiful fragrance, by the way. This is not your average bubblegum smelling tuberose at all. This has tuberose and gardenia and I think a bunch of white florals, jasmine, yada yada, but has a little vetiver, adding a little earthiness. But this has, I think, also Angelica, that kind of weird, slightly greenish, kind of rooty smelling note, you know what I mean? So that takes away from that bubblegummy sweetness of tuberose, which I think is really nice, works well in that fragrance. So you get the idea. Best transitional fragrances to take you from warm weather to cold weather, right? These work perfect in that transitional time. There are so many more I have in my collection that'll work as transitional fragrances, like Chanel Coco Mademoiselle is another good example, falls in that sort of earthy category. You get it. I have a lot more in my collection. I can't bring 30 perfumes down here and talk about 30 perfumes. You get the idea though, right? So that's it, you guys. What do you think? How do you determine your transitional fragrances? Do you agree with me? Do you think these will make really good transitional fragrances for you? What are you wearing going from summer to fall? Let me know down in the comment section. I will list and link all of these perfumes I just talked about down in the description box with discount codes and everything. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I do have a discount code for Emiclaf as well down in the description box. So that's where I put all the special information. So always check the description box. I hope you enjoyed this video, you guys. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done it. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I will see you guys in my next video.